Hey guys, what's up? So I got a new camera stand so I can do videos again. My other cheap one kind of broke. So I got a less cheap one, if that makes sense. So this one's going to be more about how to study the Bible and what kind of books you should get for that. It's not just my library, but what is essential to study. Okay, one of the very first references you should get is the Encyclopedia of Biblical, Theological, and Ecclesiastical Literature by McClintock and Strong. This is actually only volume 9, just because I got it for like 10 bucks on Amazon. I really wanted it. And it's the 1894 edition, so I just love old books too, so it's got that kind of vintage feel. You can get it online for free though. It's like a 12-volume set, and it's really one of the only ways to actually study the scripture correctly. Most preachers don't have any historical reference at all as to what they're talking about. And so, of course, what you're going to need first is the Interlinear Bible, which is going to be Hebrew, Greek, and English. This edition is by Green. It's pretty awesome. It's got the Hebrew and the English, plus the English underneath and Strong's Concordance number on top, so you can look up more information on that. It does not have the Old Testament in the Septuagint Greek. You're going to have to get that separately. Okay, and speaking of Strong, you're going to need Strong's Concordance. Okay, this is basically just a dictionary of all the words and what they mean and where they are in the Bible. Super essential, okay? But if we're looking at the New Testament, one of the most essential ones is the Complete Biblical Library. And this is just the book of Mark. Okay, it's got every single New Testament book in there. And on the left, it has commentary in the middle and different translations of the English. Or your left, my right. My left, your right. And then on this side of the page is going to be the Greek, as well as its pronunciation, English, Greek, and its concordance number, and if it's like a pronoun, singular, masculine, feminine, all that stuff. Super essential, y'all. But if you wanted something a little more handheld, Greek to English Interlinear by George Ricker Berry. Kind of one of the best Bibles you can ever get. Okay, it's going to be the King James translation on the right, but it has the true English translation right underneath the Greek letter. So you can take a look at that. Now we'll get into the Old Testament. Of course, you'll need a Hebrew Old Testament, okay? The Tanakh. Tanakh is going to be the complete Old Testament. It's a representation or an anagram of the Torah for the T, the Nevi'im, which is the writings, and the Korim, I think. I can't remember how to pronounce it, but it's the prophets. So all three equals the Tanakh. And so this does not, this comes from the Masoretic text, of course, which has a few errors in it that are different from the Septuagint. But we've gone into that before. And speak of the devil, I hate that phrase, never mind, I forget I said it. The Septuagint. This is a great third edition, or the third revised edition of the Lancelot Brenton 1851 translation. It's going to be only English, so it's very interesting. It's a little more easy to pick up than the official Septuagint with Apocrypha. Okay, the regular Septuagint with Apocrypha, you need this one, guys. It's all Greek and English. And you'll see all the different variations there are between the Masoretic text and the Septuagint, which was created 1,000 years before the Masoretic text. And it's basically essential, okay? You know, that's all I got to say about that. And of course the internet and your and your other colleagues, whoever you learn from. I only learn from people on the internet. I can't study with anyone in a real everyday to-day setting. None of my friends are into it. None of my family is into it. I live in a smaller Texas town. It's basically, I get what I can get, okay? But at the same time, I'm getting more bored with everyone. Everyone seems to be just so shallow and set in their ways. And oh wait, I forgot another book. This one is incredible. You need to get this one, Unholy Hands on the Bible by Burgeon and Green. Okay, the same Burgeon as he believed in predestination. He has a lot of different writings, but this is a huge collection of how the Textus Receptus is the correct Greek text and that the Westcott and Hort manuscripts are corrupt. And this has hundreds of pages of proof, not just opinions like most people have. This is textual criticism at its peak, okay? This is the true introduction to textual criticism. So if you have any interest in actually studying what the Bible means and not what your local preacher says he thinks it might mean, then I would go ahead and pick that up. It's basically the biggest ponage to any of these new Bibles out there. And of course, you need to get something about the Dead Sea Scrolls, because what is the Dead Sea Scrolls? It was barely found in 1948, and what does it do? It confirms the Septuagint. Okay, it even has verses that the Septuagint doesn't have, and it confirms that the Apocrypha was also considered very essential. And speaking of the Apocrypha, my Septuagint, it says it comes with the Apocrypha, but what's interesting is that it doesn't have Second Esdras, because Septuagint is only in Greek, right? But we don't have any Greek translations of Second Esdras, so you can only find Jerome's Latin Vulgate. I think some are in Aramaic, but I do not know Aramaic. Excuse me. But yeah, I think that's it, y'all. I know it's very similar to my biblical library where I just pointed it out on my bookshelf, but I kind of need y'all to catch up, okay? I mean, I'll message my own teachers and they don't really message me back, maybe just because they have thousands of other comments or hundreds. I don't know, I don't care. All I want is the truth. And I've seen, the Grox has said Merry Christmas before, so I don't know if he knows that's pagan. And then I see Jim Brown say the Masoretic text is the official Old Testament, whereas I believe the Septuagint is. So it's like the Nietzsche quote. I went like that because I have like a little picture of him. Nietzsche says, he said, what did he say? One does a teacher badly if he only remains a pupil. Okay, and that's something I've had to overcome all the time because, of course, obviously Nietzsche talked crap about the Bible all the time, while in the same breath he was saying he's a destiny, and 1844 had all these prophecies saying a great teacher would come down, which came from the Bible and other different religious texts. So every teacher I've ever had, I've had to overcome, or at least not put, you can't put anyone on a pedestal except God, okay? God's the one who's going to be your true teacher. And if you just have one mind frame, then you're going to never learn a new thing in your whole life. I used to be a KJV onlyist, and then I learned about the Greek and Hebrew, and then I learned about Masoretic and the Septuagint, and then I learned the Septuagint didn't have things that the Dead Sea Scroll has. It's just a big cycle, okay? And it's fun, but it's also challenging. But at the same time, what else is there to do? Take it easy, y'all.